The Uyghur Khaganate was a Turkic empire that existed for about a century between the mid-8th and 9th centuries. They were a tribal confederation under the Orkhon Uyghur nobility, referred to by the Chinese as the Jiu Xing, a calque of the name Toquz or Toquz Tughluq. The rise of Uyghurs in Mongolia. In the Gobi, the Tang dynasty was supported by the Uyghurs after the Uyghurs left the control of the Western Turks due to the defeat by the Western Turks by Tang Taizong. In 627–628 a revolt of the Uyghurs against the Turkic Khaganate weakened the Turks, and the Turkic Uyghurs fought against the Tibetans and Turks in alliance with the Chinese. In 742, the Old Uyghurs, Calques, and Basmiles rebelled against the ruling Gokturks. The Basmiles captured the Gokturk capital, Ertuğrul, and the Gokturk king, Osman Khan, in 744, effectively taking charge of the region. However, a Uyghur Calque alliance against the Basmiles was formed later the same year. The coalition defeated the Basmiles and beheaded the king. The Basmile tribes were effectively destroyed. The people sold to the Chinese or distributed amongst the victors. The Uyghur leader became the Khagan in Mongolia and the Calque leader the Yabgu. This arrangement, however, lasted less than a year, as hostilities between the Uyghurs and Calques forced the Calques to migrate westward into the western Turkish lands. The Uyghur leader was from the Yaglika clan, called Kulug Boiler and known in Chinese sources as Guli Pelo. He took the title Qilaf Bilj Kul Khagan, glorious, wise, mighty Khagan, claiming to be the supreme ruler of all the tribes, and built his capital at Ordu Bali. According to Chinese sources, the territory of the Uyghur Empire then reached, on its eastern extremity, the territory of Shiwei. On the west the Altai Mountains. On the south it controlled the Gobi Desert, so it covered the entire territory of the ancient Xiongnu. In 747, the Qilaf Bilj Kul Khagan died, leaving his youngest son, Bayanchur Khan, to reign as Khagan el-Etmishbilj, state settled, wise. After building a number of trading outposts with the Han Chinese, Bayanchur Khan used the profits to build the capital, or Ordu Balik, and another city, by Balik, further up the Selenga River. The new Khagan then embarked on a series of campaigns to bring all the steppe peoples under his banner. During this time the empire vastly expanded, with Toquz Oghuz, Kirghiz, Kalux, Turkish, Tatars, Chiks and the remnants of the Basmils coming under Uyghur rule. The rebellion of Inlushan in Tang China in 755 forced Emperor Suzong to turn to Bayanchur Khan for assistance in 756. The Khagan agreed, ordered his eldest son to provide military service to the Tang emperor, and helped to quell several rebellions, as well as to defeat an invading army from the Tibetan Empire from the south and to take from rebels together with Tang forces both capitals, western Chang'an and eastern Liaoyang. As a result, in 757 the Uyghurs received 20,000 rolls of silk as tribute from the Chinese. Bayanchur Khan was given the daughter of the Chinese emperor to marry, while Emperor Suzong was given a Uyghur princess. In 758, the Uyghurs turned their attentions to a rival steppe tribe to the north, the Yenisei Kyrgyz. Bayanchur Khan destroyed several of the trading outposts before slaughtering a Kyrgyz army and executing the Khan. In 759, Bayanchur Khan died after drinking heavily out of celebration. His son, Tengri Bogu, succeeded him as Khagan Qilaf Tarkan Sangun. At Dingzhou the Uyghurs and Chinese were defeated by the Tibetans, which led to the Gansu corridor being taken away from Tang rule in 791. Professor James A. Millward described the original Uyghurs as phenotypically East Asian in appearance, before they began to mix with the Caucasoid inhabitants of the Tarim Basin. Millward gives gives as an example the images of the Uyghur patrons at Temple 9 in the Bezeklik Caves. Golden Age. During the reign of Tengri Bogu, the Uyghur Khaganate reached the height of its power. In 762, with the help of Tengri Bogu, the Tang Emperor Daizong finally quelled the Inlushan rebellion, and the eastern capital Liaoyang was recaptured. A treaty of peace and alliance was concluded with the Tang, which had the obligation to pay 40 rolls of silk to the Uyghur Empire in exchange for every horse brought by the Uyghurs. Also, Uyghurs living in Tang China were all considered as guests and freed from payment of any taxes and accommodation costs. Khagan Tengri Bogu met with Manichaean priests from Iran while on campaign and was converted to Manichaeism, adopting it as the official religion of the Uyghur Empire in 762. One effect of this conversion was the increased influence of Sogdier in the Uyghur court. In 779, Tengri Bogu, incited by his Sogdian advisors, planned an invasion of China to take advantage of the accession of a new emperor, Daizong. However, Tengri Bogu's uncle, Tumbaga Tarkan, opposed this plan. Tumbaga became annoyed and attacked and killed him and, at the same time, massacred nearly 2,000 people from among the Khagan's family, his clique and the Sogdians. The rebellion was supposedly sponsored by the Tang ambassador to the Uyghur Empire. Tumbaga Tarkan ascended the throne with the title Alpquilufbilj and enforced a new set of laws, which he designed to secure the unity of the Khaganate. He also moved against the Yenisei Kyrgyz again, finally bringing them under the control of the Khaganate. Relationship with the Sogdians. In order to control trade along the Silk Road, the Uyghurs established a trading relationship with the Sogdian merchants who controlled the oases of Turkestan, is described above. The Uyghur adoption of Manichaeism was one aspect of this relationship. Choosing Manichaeism over Buddhism may have been motivated by a desire to show independence from Tang influence. It must be noted that not all Uyghurs supported conversion. An inscription at Karabagasan states that Manichaeans tried to divert people from their ancient shamanistic beliefs. A rather partisan account from a Uyghur Manichaean text of that period demonstrates the unbridled enthusiasm of the Khagan for Manichaeism. At the time when the divine Bogu Khan had thus spoken, we the elects of all the people living within the land rejoiced. It is impossible to describe this our joy. The people told the story to one another and rejoiced. At the time, groups of thousands and tens of thousands assembled, and with pastimes of all sorts they entertained themselves even unto dawn. And at the break of the day they made a short fast. The divine ruler Bogu Khan and all the elects of his retinue mounted on horses, and all the princes and the princesses led by those of higher repute, the big and the small. The whole people, amidst great rejoicing, proceeded to the gate of the city, and when the divine ruler had entered the city, he put the crown on his head, and sat upon the golden throne. As conversion was based on political and economic concerns regarding trade with the Sogdians, it was driven by the rulers and often encountered resistance in lower societal strata. Furthermore, as the Khagan's political power depended on his ability to provide economically for his subjects, alliance with the Sogdians through adopting the religion was an important way of securing this objective. Both the Sogdians and the Uyghurs benefited enormously from this alliance. The Sogdians enabled the Uyghurs to trade in the western regions and exchange silk from China for other goods. For the Sogdians it provided the Chinese trading communities with Uyghur protection. The 5th and 6th centuries saw a large emigration of Sogdians to China. The Sogdians were main traders along the Silk Roads, and China was always the biggest market. Among the paper clothing found in the Astana cemetery near Turfan is a list of taxes paid on caravan trade in the Gaochang Kingdom in the 620s. The text is incomplete, but out of the 35 commercial operations it lists, 29 involve a Sogdian trader. Ultimately, both rulers of nomadic origin and sedentary states recognized the importance of merchants like the Sogdians and made alliances to further their own agendas in controlling the Silk Roads. Karabagasan. The Uyghurs created an empire with clear Persian influences, particularly in areas of government. Soon after the empire was founded, they emulated sedentary states by establishing a permanent, settled capital, Karabagasan, built on the site of the former Göktürk imperial capital, northeast of the later Mongol capital, Karakorum. The city was a fully fortified commercial center, typical along the Silk Road, with concentric walls and lookout towers, stables, military and commercial stores, and administrative buildings. Certain areas of the town were allotted for trade and handcrafts, while in the center of the town were palaces and temples, including a monastery. The palace had fortified walls and two main gates, as well as moats filled with water and watchtowers. The Khagan maintained his court there and decided the policies of the empire. With no fixed settlement, the Xiongnu had been limited in their acquisition of Chinese goods to what they could carry. As stated by Thomas Barfield, the more goods a nomadic society acquired, the less mobility it had, hence, at some point, one was more vulnerable trying to protect a rich treasure house by moving it than by fortifying it. By building a fixed city, the Uyghurs created a protected storage space for trade goods from China. They could hold a stable, fixed court, receive traders, and effectively cement the central role in Silk Road exchange. However, the vulnerability that came with having a fixed city was to be the downfall of the Uyghurs' decline and collapse. After the death of Tumbagataka in 789, the power of the Uyghur Empire declined, and the empire started to fragment. The Tibetans took the area of Beshbarluk, and the Karluks captured Futu Valley, which brought considerable fear to the Uyghur people. In 795, the Khagan bearing the title Qilaf Bilge died, and the Yarglika dynasty came to an end. A general named Qilaf declared himself the new Khagan, under the title Tangrida Uluji Bul Meshalp Kutla Ulu Bilga Khagan, founding a new dynasty, the Eddas. With solid leadership once more, the Khaganate averted collapse. Qilaf became renowned for his leadership and management of the empire. Although he consolidated the empire, he failed to restore its previous power. On his death in 808, the empire began to fragment once again. He was succeeded by his son, who went on to improve trade in Inner Asia. The name of the last great Khagan of the empire is unknown, though he bore the title Kun Tengrid Uluji Bul Meshalp Kuchlug Bilge. His achievements included improved trade upward the region of Sogdia, and on the battlefield he repulsed a force of invading Tibetans in 821. This Khagan died in 824 and was succeeded by a brother, Khazar, who was murdered in 832, inaugurating a period of anarchy. In 839 the legitimate Khagan was forced to commit suicide, and a usurping minister named Kuribir seized the throne with the help of 20,000 invited horsemen of Shatuo from Ordos. In the same year there was a famine and an epidemic, with a particularly severe winter that killed much of the livestock the Uyghur economy was based on. The following spring, in 840, one of 9 Uyghur ministers, Kulug Baga, rival of Kuribir, fled to the Yenese Kyrgyz and invited them to invade from the north. With a force of around 80,000 horsemen, they sacked the Uyghur capital at Ordu Balik, razing it to the ground. The Kyrgyz captured the Uyghur Khagan, Kuribia, and promptly beheaded him. They went on to destroy other cities throughout the Uyghur Empire, burning them to the ground. 10,000 Uyghurs were killed when on February 13, 843 at Kill the Foreigners Mountain Shizhuang led the Chinese Tang army in achieving victory over the Uyghurs. The last legitimate Khagan Oge was assassinated in 847, having spent his 6-year reign fighting the Kyrgyz, the supporters of his rival Ormist, a brother of Kuribia, and Tang China boundary troops in Ordos and Shamxi, which he invaded in 841. The Kyrgyz invasion destroyed the Uyghur Empire, causing a diaspora of Uyghurs across Central Asia. Aftermath. After the fall of the empire, two kingdoms, the Gansu Uyghur Kingdom in Gansu and the Kingdom of Kharcho near Turfan, were formed by the Uyghurs who fled from the Yenese Kyrgyz. The Uyghurs in Kharcho converted to Buddhism, and, according to Mahmud al-Kashgari, were the strongest of the infidels, while the Gansu Uyghur Kingdom fell to the Tangut people in the 1030s. In 1209, the Kharcho ruler Borchak Tikan declared his allegiance to Genghis Khan, and the Uyghurs became important civil servants in the later Mongol Empire, which adapted the Old Uyghur alphabet as its official script. According to the New Book of Tang, a third group went to seek refuge amongst the Calques. The Calques, together with other tribes such as the Chijils and Yagmas, later founded the Khaganate Khanate. Some historians associate the Khaganate with the Uyghurs as the Yagmas were linked to the Toquz Oghuz. Sultan Satik Bufra Khan, believed to be a Yagma from Artuks, converted to Islam in 932 and seized control of Kashgar in 940, giving rise to the new dynasty, known as Khaganate. List of Uyghur Khagans. The following list is based on Denis Sinat, The Uyghur Empire of Mongolia, Studies in Medieval Inner Asia, Variorum, 1997, v. 1-25. Because of the complex and inconsistent Uyghur and Chinese titulatures, references to the rulers now typically include the number in the sequence, something further complicated by the non-inclusion of an unnamed ephemeral son of 4 between 5 and 6 in 790, and the inclusion of a spurious reign between 7 and 9. 744–747 Quiluf Biljkol, 747–759 El Etmish Bilj, son of 1, 759–779 Quiluf Tarkhan Sengun, son of 2, 779–789 Alp Quiluf Bilj, son of 1, 789–790 Itengrad Bulmush Kulug Bilj, son of 4, 790–795 Quiluf Bilj, son of 5, 795–808 Itengrad Uluji Bulmesh Alp Quiluf Ulu Bilj, 805–808 Itengrad Qut Bulmush Kulug Bilj, 808–821 Itengrad Qut Bulmesh Kulug Bilj, son of 7, 821–824 Kuntengrad Uluj Bulmesh Alp Kuchlug Bilj, son of 9, 824–832 Itengrad Qut Bulmesh Alp Bilj, son of 9, 832–839 Itengrad Qut Bulmesh Alp Kulug Bilj, son of 10, 839–840 Kuribia Usurper, 841–847 Oge, son of 9, 744–747 Kutlug Bilj Kolkagan, 747 to 759 Buyancourt, 759 to 779 Bogukhagan, 779 to 789 Tunbagatakan, 789 to 798 and Gridkut Bulmus Kuluk Biljkagan, 790 to 795 Kutluk Biljkagan, 795 to 808 Itengrid Ulug Bulmus Alp Ulug Kutluk Biljkagan, 805 to 808 Itengrid Kut Bulmus Alp Kuluk Biljkagan, 808 to 821 Itengrid Kut Bulmus Alp Biljkagan, 821 to 824 Kuntengrid Ulug Bulmus Alp Kuklug Biljkagan, 824 to 832 Alp Bilj Hatatigan Tengrikagan, 832 to 839 Alp Kolug Biljkagan, 841 to 847 Uge Kagan. Images of Buddhist and Manichaean Uyghurs. Images of Buddhist and Manichaean Uyghurs from the Bezeklik Caves and Mogao Grottos.